Hello and welcome to another video review. This is Civilization 5 Gods and Kings expansion for PC and Mac. This is the first expansion to Civilization 5. It was released in June of last year, and it was to a fair amount of acclaim. People generally liked it a fair amount. And a lot of people were elated about it because it brought back the religion mechanic that was in Civ 4. I hated that mechanic. Not because it was religion, but because it was pretty much useless. All it did was give you culture bonuses. And I never went for cultural victory, so it wasn't like that was a big deal. So, when I got to Civ 5 and they removed that mechanic, I was pretty happy about it, because it was just there, and people acted like it had way more importance than it actually does in Civ 4. So, when I got to Civ 5, I really enjoyed it, as you know, even though it does have a lot of problems. And I got to play the demo of Gods and Kings when it was released, and found the demo to be very, very underwhelming. And I think that was partly because of the it being a demo and it having a turn limit and such like that. But it didn't seem very well balanced at the time. Now, it's been out for a while, and obviously they've patched it and such like that. So the question is, how is this expansion now that I'm getting my hands on the full release? Now, I'm not really going to talk about the presentation because it's exactly the same as Civ 5. The difference being that I'm actually playing this in DirectX 10 mode. So, it's actually running a lot better in this mode than it does in the DirectX 9 mode. I don't know why, it just does. There's a lot fewer glitches, and it actually is very, very stable, and actually seems to run faster. Which makes no sense to me, but anyway. Suffice to say, it looks exactly the same as the original Civ 5, so if you thought that looked good, then you'll think this looks good. So nothing looks any different except for the new stuff, which is just the same level of quality, so there's really not much to say there. Same goes for the sound design. It's exactly the same as it was in the original game, the difference being that they added in some new voice clips, and that's about it, really. So, all that stuff is up to the same quality that Civ 5 was. What the real question is whether the new content justifies getting the expansion, and whether the content was actually implemented well and such like that. So, you're actually given a fair amount of content. There are 9 new civilizations, among them Carthage, Austria, the Byzantine Empire, such like that. And they've also added in numerous new units, new technologies, new wonders, that sort of thing, that all actually blend into the game very well. Now, they did rebalance the tech tree partly, and it takes a lot of getting used to, because if you're used to Civ 5's normal tech tree, then going to the Gods and Kings one is going to be rather confusing. At least until you understand what's going to what and such like that. And admittedly, the actual rebalancing the tech tree makes sense. A lot of the stuff they changed around actually is very logical, and it doesn't really make you confused as to why it was done like that. It's not like certain technologies and such in, say, Civ 4 Beyond the Sword, where it would change to something else and you just weren't really sure why. It was just kind of an extra tech thrown in there. This one does throw in extra techs, but it doesn't throw in enough of them to really make a problem. So the tech tree is still very easy to follow, very intuitive, and it works pretty well. You might just have to alter some of your strategy if you're used to doing things a certain way as far as research goes, because there might be something in the way of the tech that you're wanting to research now or something like that. But again, once you get used to it, it's not at all a problem. The new civilizations are actually more balanced for the actual expansion's new mechanics, which are, of course, enhanced diplomacy, including espionage, and the religion mechanic. In fact, the Byzantine Empire's special ability is that they get an extra slot for a belief on their religion. Now, let me go ahead and go into the religion aspect, because I just want to get it out of the way. I did not like the religion mechanic in Civ 4. It was pretty much just a culture bonus and not much else. In this one, they've decided to give you actual bonuses that you will pick. Now, once you accumulate enough faith, you're able to found a pantheon. You accumulate faith by building stuff like shrines, temples, that sort of thing. And it's a resource, just like gold or science production, something like that, only in this case it is used as gold. In a similar fashion, I mean. And once you accumulate enough faith, you can form a pantheon, and this founds a this belief system with a single founding belief. And like, say, the one I usually go with is Messenger of the Gods, which gives you an extra 2 science points. And eventually, when you get a great prophet, you're able to turn that into a religion. And what this does is it enhances it. It allows you to actually select a lot of beliefs that might give you bonuses to, say, culture production or science production, bonuses to gold or something like that. There's also certain beliefs that allow you to buy units with faith as opposed to gold, at least up until the industrial era. So it's actually a pretty interesting way of doing it, and it makes it a lot more useful than it was in Civ 4. But at the same time, there are just some quirks about it. And it doesn't outright unbalance the game, at least. That was certainly a good thing. I was very pleasantly surprised by that, because the demo didn't really give me much indication on that. I was kind of worried it would unbalance the game and break everything. But it didn't seem to break it. The problem being that in some ways it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like, when you can send your missionaries to someone's city that happens to be the holy city for another religion, and then you tell them to spread your religion, and suddenly your religion has supplanted the other one as the top religion. It doesn't really make any sense. It's amusing, don't get me wrong, but it certainly doesn't make any sense. And I've never really gained any notable bonuses from it or anything. I have noticed it tends to make the other civs very mad at you for doing it, so that's something to keep in mind. And it's certainly annoying when they send their missionaries over and try to convert you all the time, and you have to constantly convert it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and using your inquisitors to stamp out the other religions and such like that. It can be kind of a pain to manage. It's not really difficult to manage, but it's still kind of annoying. It seems like it's just extra micromanagement for no particular reason in a lot of cases. But it does give you some nice bonuses to work with, and certainly it's very adaptable to your playstyle. But the new civilizations seem to take a lot more advantage of it than the older civilizations, which were actually not rebalanced for this expansion. So you'll notice right off the bat that the older civilizations, while they do get bonuses from it, they don't really need it. Whereas the new civilizations seem to benefit more from it. Now, that might just be my personal perceptions of it, but they seem to benefit more, and they seem to be working more with this system than the original civilizations, which stand fine on their own still. And then there's the other mechanic, which is the enhanced diplomacy, which they will actually react a lot more to what you do, particularly in regards to, say, religion, but also in regards to espionage. You get, over time, you can recruit spies, and they can go into enemy cities, or not even necessarily enemy cities, just you can go to any city on in the game, and it will allow you to establish intelligence on what they're building, or what research they've got that you can actually take from them and such like that. And if you're playing against the AI, then it will actually notify you of sneak attacks and such like that, like they're building up forces and such like that. So you can actually use this information to your advantage. Not only can you prepare in the event of an attack or something like that, but you can also, if you're wanting to be allied with a certain person, or wanting to improve your relations with them, you can actually relay that information to them if they're the ones being targeted or something like that, and that will actually improve your relations with them. So that's kind of nice. But other than that, they really haven't done anything to enhance the diplomacy. They just seem to react a lot more. It still has a lot of weird quirks to it, where the AI demands ridiculous things from you, just for something as simple as a research agreement. And so you find that that's kind of annoying. But again, that's nothing that Civ 5 didn't have to begin with. Now, there were some things in Gods and Kings that just kind of bothered me. And it wasn't so much that they were related to the religion mechanic, which surprised me. I mean, it did bother me to begin with, but eventually, once I actually got to work with it, I was like, it's not that bad. It bothered me that the espionage mechanic isn't as fleshed out as it could be. It was a lot more in-depth in the previous Civ games, where you could actually sabotage enemy production and such like that. And in this one, you can use it to basically see what they're doing, to take some technologies, or to improve your relations with city-states. That's about it. So they really took the teeth out of that system. Now they don't have just accumulating espionage points or anything like that like they did in Civ 4, so it's a slightly different system, and it's okay. That's all I can really say. It needs some improvement to be a really good system, but it's a step in the right direction. The other thing that bothered me was actually Austria, because when I played as Austria, I found out they're actually kind of overpowered, because they can buy city-states. Once you're allied with a city-state as Austria for 5 turns, the option of diplomatic marriage actually pops up. And what that allows you to do is actually to buy the city-state and basically either annex it or turn it into a puppet without any of the negative consequences for actually conquering it. So, where the other civilizations have to work to get whatever they want with the city-states, you can just sit there and go like, haha, I bought the city-state, haha. And your empire can become extremely large extremely quickly. So, it seems like Austria is kind of broken in that regard. They're the only civilization that actually gets that ability to buy city-states. So, when they've got this humongous empire that is comprised of a lot of city-states, and these are all advanced, because they've, of course, got buildings already constructed and such like that, it kind of breaks the game to some degree. And that kind of bothered me. There's just a few issues like that when the Gods and Kings expansion is concerned. But other than that, it's a pretty solid expansion pack. It doesn't really bring a lot new to the table. It brings back a lot of things and tweaks them and tries to put its own spin on things, which I certainly appreciate, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, it's slightly underwhelming. It's solid, but it's not like, say, Beyond the Sword, which pretty much fundamentally changed Civilization 4 and made it much better than it actually was. So, it was kind of a weird thing to go into Gods and Kings, because I was actually expecting not to like it out of just the religion mechanic, but I do like it. I just don't think it's worth the full price they're asking for, which is $30. So, that's actually the same price as normal Civ 5. Now, if you get it in the Gold Edition, or you can get the Gold upgrade if you already have Civ 5, that includes all the DLC as well, and it's a full price for the game. But I think that's more of a good price point for Civ 5 with its expansion pack, rather than just the expansion pack itself. So, do I recommend Gods and Kings? Yes. If you liked Civilization 5, you'll probably like Gods and Kings. But just be warned, it does have a few issues, and it isn't quite the amazing expansion that, say, Beyond the Sword was for Civ 4. So, ultimately, I give it a 3.5 out of 5. Thanks for watching.